Hello everyone. Melderon TV here, finally, on another vlog. It's been a while, guys. There's a lot to catch up on, a lot to talk about. Real life is going to keep me insane, keep me crazy. It feels like forever since I've done anything WoW related. And in reality, it's only been about 2.5, 3 weeks, but it feels like a lifetime. Really had the itch to get back on, talk to you guys, let you know what's going on in my life, what's going on in the world of Classic WoW. So let's get into it. Let's talk first about Blizzcon and the demo. So, in case you guys haven't heard the news, we have a official release of Summer 2019 of Classic WoW. I did get a chance to play the demo, not much, maybe about 45 minutes to an hour total. So I spent $50 to play an hour of a game. I did get to watch Defcamp's first stream, which I'm very proud of him, and I'm really happy that he was able to do that. So if you haven't watched the stream, I really suggest it's on our channel somewhere, if you could look for it. But, you know, my first impressions were a little hazy. I was not impressed by what I saw at first, and I was a little pessimistic. And I kind of want to apologize for that, if you felt that at all. And, you know, as you know, these vlogs are unscripted, so I'm just telling you exactly what's on the top of my head. However, as time went on, I was really appreciative of what we got, even though if there were some problems. And I will go into what those biggest problems are, but all in all, I think that the product we will get or may get, if it's reflective of the demo, is pretty damn close to Classic WoW with a few caveats, and we'll talk about those. But I do want to say, even though I think they did a pretty good job, it was extremely rushed, and that was very apparent to me very, very quickly. Some of the sounds, animations were off. Obviously the regen was extremely off. It was way too high. But the biggest thing to me, outside of the two things we're going to be talking about later, was the mistakenly leaving in of the LFG stuff. And I know you're going to say it was an oversight, and it was an oversight. But if you guys know, if you guys have been here for a long time, been around the Classic WoW community, and what we've been so adamant about over all these months, a year now, is a sense of community and how things like LFG, LFR, these quality of life tools that really, for people like me, ruined World of Warcraft. I would have taken every motion to remove the capability of even typing in /LFG, LFR, and getting that window pop up. To me, it's a sign of, and this is going to sound pretty harsh, but it's a sign of really not getting us as a community. And it's a sign of rushing, I will say that, but that to me is a very big thing. It's telling, and I hope that they realize that we are a community that's pretty damn, we are very thorough, and we like to look for things that may be big deal breakers for us. And of course I know LFG and LFR are not going to be in the game, and I realize that, and you may think I'm overboard here, but from a quality standpoint, and if I was in charge, that would be one of the first things I would say. Make sure that they can't do that, that no one can see that. Even though it is a backport from the current technology, that should have been removed. That being said, on the whole, they did a good job. I felt like I was playing Classic WoW, except for the regen situation. But the two biggest things that many people talked about already, and I'm late to the party on this, is sharding and loot trading. So if you don't know what sharding is, if you play the current game, you may be used to phasing technology, where you phase from one time point to another. Especially if the story's unfolding, you'll see things change, like the burning of Teldrassil or something. I haven't played BFA, but I'm sure that's phased out to new players. So what sharding is, it's taking that phasing technology and doing it intra-server, not inter-server, intra-server. So you're still within the same server, but you're phased out in high populated areas, so you don't see thousands of people tagging your mobs, right? And I want to say first and foremost that I understand that sharding is a necessary evil, something that they really have to do to kind of quell the large influx of players that were in the demo and that may be also returning for the actual game when it launches. However, I believe that sharding is not the only answer. We have, dynamic respawn, which I think is worse. But there is another option, is dynamic respawn, and that's basically turning up the respawn timers for mobs so that they pop up very, very quickly. But you can get a lot of bad behavior from that as well. and people kind of sitting there tagging mobs and getting XP too fast and tagging reagents or whatever, just accumulating wealth much quicker than you normally would, and that kind of ruins the immersion as well. But I argue sharding ruins immersions just as well as just as good as dynamic respawn. So a couple things we can think about here is two possible ways to kind of combat dynamic respawn is creating multiple servers. That's to start, with the intention of melding those servers at a later date. That could be immersion breaking for some of you as well. Or something I actually heard in Alex's video, which is like subclustering. So you have multiple sub-servers underneath a server banner. Let's say the server's name is Melderon. Let's just pretend it's named Melderon. So you'd have Melderon 1, Melderon 2, Melderon 3, Melderon 4, and people in those 4 subclusters or sub-servers would eventually be merged in a later date at just the server called Melderon. And that is I think, the best possible way of doing this. I don't know how hard it is on the server side, on the back end of things, but I think that's the most least immersion breaking process. And the other one, of course, is just leave it as it is, how it was in Classic. I know a lot of you are cringing at that, and I know that'll turn a lot of people off, and I think that's what they're trying to forego. This is a different time. Gaming has changed. Gaming has grown. Sometimes in ways that we don't really appreciate, but it has changed, and people expect a certain quality out of something like Blizzard. However, that is the true Classic experience, and if they went with that, I would not complain. But I also wouldn't complain if they used subclustering or sub-servering, whatever you want to call it, or if they had more servers that they eventually would meld or merge later on. But the sharding thing really leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And I'd like to know what you guys think. If there's any other thing I'm missing, any other suggestions that could work aside from sharding and dynamic respawn and then the process and the things I've talked about already, I want to hear what you think. The second thing is loot trading. So I think what they were trying to do, I think this is what they said, is to limit ninja looting. But if a person is ninja looting, who's to say they're going to trade with you afterwards, right? So someone ninja loots an item, and they don't want to trade with you, that's still going to happen. If someone mistakenly ninja loots, or doesn't, that's not really ninja looting, that just makes a mistake, they can trade with you. That's great and fine and dandy. However, the big elephant in the room that I can't believe they didn't realize is that you can have teams of people working together to get pieces of loot for certain people. Let's say you get into a group for Mardon, you're doing a princess run, everyone wants that Blackstone ring, and say you're a rogue, and there's 4 other guys that are working together, you don't know that, they're not in the same guild, but they're friends, and all of them need on the ring, and give it to the guy who wants it, whoever they deem, that's going to happen so much. And the fact that they don't realize this is just mind-boggling to me. Ninja looting is part of vanilla, and it's something that, unfortunately, we probably will never be able to get rid of. For God's sake, we don't want personal loot. That's totally ruins the Classic WoW experience. But this is a huge, just like, mind-bogglingly huge oversight and out of touch with the Classic world and how things work, especially on private servers. And we're going to have a lot of people coming back to the game. Sure, they may not, they may, and hopefully, maybe I'm being pessimistic. Maybe most people won't play that way, but there's a good chance they will. Loot's hard to come by in vanilla WoW, and people do things that they may not be very good high character stuff. So yeah, sure, there's repercussions for those actions, and then maybe they'd be blacklisted like any ninja looter would. But it's going to be a rampant thing. It's going to be really hard to prove too. Especially if you have multiple people that actually could use the item, and they have like a mafia where they're just basically they do multiple princess runs, just make sure everyone gets the piece that that they want, and that really screws up anyone who's coming in from an outside perspective. And there is no right or wrong answer to this. I mean, ninja looting is an issue, but I think we got to leave it the way it was. I think that's the most healthy thing to do. And that's the two big things here. I'm very, very optimistic about Classic WoW. The hype has died, of course, after the demo because, everyone was really waiting for the demo, and I think the hype will build up again in the next couple months, especially when the launch becomes more close to summer. But I'm still very optimistic, and I think it's going to be a great thing. And myself and the other people involved with not only Defcamp Melderon TV, but with Classic WoW.live, with the group of us that are working in that project as well, we're still very optimistic, and we're putting a lot of man hours towards, and woman hours towards, getting this Classic WoW.live project to launch successfully. And we have a lot of things in the background working. If you haven't checked us out, there'll be a link in the description to check out our website, ClassicWoW.live. It's basically a collaborative effort to make a one-stop home for Classic WoW players, including forum, database, tools, videos, lore, anything you can think of. It's going to be a Classic WoW hub. There's many content creators that are involved as well. So if you haven't checked that out, check it out, ClassicWoW.live, and there'll be a link to our Discord in the description as well, the ClassicWoW.live Discord. So if you're a part of our Discord and haven't jumped over there to get involved with the community, I suggest doing that. And if you have any skills you'd like to share with us for building the website, we're really into that as well. I also want to thank Josh from Countdown to Classic for having us on recently, talking about Classic WoW.live. And there's going to be a new, I believe, a new Countdown to Classic with my brother Defcamp, talking about heavy metal and World of Warcraft, which are two things that go really well together, like peas and carrots, like Forrest Gump said. So that's going to be a really exciting interview. I'm really happy to hear that as well. So before we transition to more of a personal side of things, let's talk about BlizzCon as a whole. I didn't watch a lot of it. I was doing some. Well, I'll get into what I was doing in the last 2 weeks. That really, the timing couldn't have been worse for a WoW fan, classic WoW fan. But the Diablo Immortal announcement, guys, this is probably the most pessimistic thing I've ever said, and I don't want to hate for saying it, but I think the Blizzard we knew growing up is dead. I think Classic WoW and Warcraft 3 Reforged are the last vestiges of what Blizzard used to be. And we're going to have to hold on to that like for dear life. Because what Activision has done with Diablo is appalling. As someone who grew up on a PC, who grew up playing Diablo 1, who grew up playing Diablo 2. Games that literally changed my life. The first time I played Diablo 1, I couldn't sleep for weeks. That game was so immersive. Diablo 2 was even more immersive, and I really fell in love with both of those games. Diablo 3 had its good parts, had its bad parts. It was still Diablo, though. This, a phone, to me, is not the proper medium to explore the world of Sanctuary. It's a far cry from what I would think about. I can't immerse myself in a phone. And you may say, well, a phone's just a smaller screen computer. It's not. It's part of gaming as a PC gamer, as an old school PC gamer, if you will, and I may be just an old man at this point, is immersing yourself in your room, turning the lights off, putting the headphones on, and just becoming part of that world. To me, when you're on a toilet, playing Diablo and just spending money on microtransactions, because you know that game's going to be full of them, that isn't gaming to me. That's something else. It's almost akin to, movies, and how much movies have changed in the last 10 years, 15 years, and become less immersive as well, and a lot less dynamic. It's a telling sign, and I hate saying I hate admitting to this, because I never really felt that Blizzard would ever change in the way it has. But Activision holds the reins, and that's very apparent in this announcement. And the fact that they even removed the dislikes from the video and tried to plague and remove top comments, negative comments, I mean, that's like childhood, like petty crap. It's a bad idea, Blizzard. It's a bad idea, Activision. If you want to make a mobile game, that's fine, but make it alongside another Diablo title. Give the Diablo community what they deserve. Either make Diablo 4, make the Druid, extend the world in some way. It's just sad, and I just wanted to say that. And I know it's negative, and I know I'm going to get some bad comments for it, and that's totally fine. This is my opinion. This is what this vlog series is about. It's about my opinions. And obviously there are a lot of you that value it, and I appreciate that. But for those of you who don't agree with me, that's totally fine. Let me know why in the comments. Do you think mobile is the right place for Diablo? A game that's so immersive and so beautifully written in the last 2 decades. So anyway, that's just how I feel about Diablo. I feel that Blizzard has become out of touch with their player base. I also heard recently that this is hearsay. I didn't actually watch the video, but I did read some words about it, that in BFA the GMs actually stopped a PvP raid on a major city. That to me again is just, that's not Warcraft. Anyway, let's stop there. Let's just move on to what I want to talk about personal stuff, the channel, good news. Let's get out of the bad stuff. Let's go towards good. We have a lot of good coming up. Classic WoW, Warcraft 3 Reforged. Very, very happy to hear about those two things. Warcraft 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. Obviously, Classic WoW is my favorite game of all time. We have a lot to look forward to, and I think that as long as Blizzard hears us as a community, guys, be respectful, be constructive, go in the forums, tell them why sharding is a bad idea, tell them why loot trading is a bad idea. And maybe they'll hear us. Maybe they'll make some changes. I think Classic WoW and Warcraft 3 Remastered are our last bastions of hope for the old Blizzard we used to know. But that's okay. That's enough for me. So if that's enough for you, that's great. And if you disagree, let me know in the comments. If you agree, let me know in the comments. So let's transition to Melderon IRL. I've had a crazy 2 weeks, guys. On November 6th, which was last Wednesday, I believe, I defended my PhD dissertation successfully. I was in a room full of 30 or so people, and my family flew in. My mom and my dad flew in from Philadelphia to Kansas. My brother, Defcamp, flew in from Philadelphia to Kansas. My girlfriend flew in from Germany, and friends came all from near and far to listen to me defend my talk. And what I did was I presented my research for an hour as a PowerPoint slide and presentation, and then after that, everyone leaves the room, and the only people who stay in the room are my committee. And a committee is kind of like a group of people who decide if you're eligible to receive the title of PhD. And there's 6 people, including my 2 bosses. And for those 2 hours, they basically grill me about my 270-page dissertation that was written on the work I do and the experiments that I've done. And I answered all their questions, and I passed. So I cracked open a bottle of champagne with my bosses, drank it, and now I'm officially Dr. Melderon. And I'm very, very happy. And my first name's Phil, so of course everyone and their mother was jokingly calling me Dr. Phil for the remainder of the evening. That was not the greatest thing in the world, because I don't particularly know anything about nor into Dr. Phil, the TV show, but that's pretty funny. I did enjoy that. But so I passed. I'll be moving back to Philadelphia in almost on December 8th, which is not too far from now. I think where are we on now? This is November 12th, so in less than a month I'll be moving back to Philadelphia. And then we'll be staying in Philadelphia for approximately 3 months. And on February 28th, 2019, I'll be moving to Germany with my girlfriend. I'm very excited about that. I have a lot to be thankful for, guys. And this channel is one of those things. All of you have helped me so much, more than you would ever know. In order to do a PhD, you have to be pretty good at public speaking already. However, all the vlogs, all the DefTalks, all the movies I've made have increased my presentation skills, number 1, and my public speaking skills, number 2. I have a lot more confidence as a speaker because of you guys and providing you information and making videos. You've actually indirectly helped me so much, all of you have, that I want to thank you personally. All these things kind of meld together. It's weird. You think your academic life and your my YouTube career have melded and really made me a more well-rounded person, and you guys are to thank for that. If no one was watching my stuff, I wouldn't be doing this. And it's kind of surreal, I have to say. I have a lot of changes going on in my life right now, but having this constancy of making classic WoW videos is definitely helpful. And I feel different now. I feel a lot more relaxed. I don't know if you can tell that, but I do. I've accomplished something really wonderful that not many people get to accomplish, and I'm very thankful for that too, because I never thought in my wildest dreams I would be here today and have a PhD and be a semi-successful YouTuber. I think I'm successful. I mean, you know, numbers are just numbers, but I think having a community like you guys is just one of the most amazing things I've ever had. So, thank you for that. And I have a lot. You know, I'm looking for jobs currently in Germany and the Netherlands. So if anybody's in the scientific field in those two countries, give me a shout. Anyone that does anything like genetics or any bioinformatics or studies DNA sequences or anything like that, I'd be let me know. I'm looking for a job. And the Classic WoW.live crew has been very supportive as well. Thank you all so much. Basically, taking 2 weeks off of starting a website is not the best thing to do when you're a founder of the website, but at the same time, you guys have been very understanding of my needs, and so thank you very much. So, I will give you a movie review as well while we're here. I know I haven't done one of those in a very long time. I saw Bohemian Rhapsody last week. If you don't know what it is, it's the story of Queen and Freddie Mercury. If you're not a fan of Queen, they were a band that was successful in the 70s and 80s. Rock and roll, teetering on progressive rock and heavy metal. Not really heavy metal, but rock and roll, pop even, they teeter on there as well. They were a very successful band. They were a very eclectic band. And Freddie Mercury has a great story. He rose from a poor upbringing as an immigrant to the United Kingdom and rose through the ranks of stardom. Unfortunately, died way too young from complications due to the AIDS virus, HIV. And it's the story of his life and Queen, and it was very, very well done. The critics weren't very good, very kind on the movie. Most likely, I think, because it wasn't as historically accurate as you would think. But it's not a documentary, it's a movie. So things were changed to make it more appealing to the general audience. However, the music and the message is still there intact, and I think that's the most important thing. So if you're a fan of music in general, I really highly recommend seeing Bohemian Rhapsody. The actor, whose name has escaped me at the moment, but I'll look that up really quick, he is also in Mr. Robot, and he is a very, very good actor, and his ability to, it's amazing, his ability to mirror Freddie Mercury is just unbelievable. His name is Rami Malek. He is, he portrayed Freddie Mercury to a T, even to the point where his teeth were... Freddie Mercury was born with 4 extra incisors in his mouth, so he had a very upper jutting jaw, and he even had a mouthpiece and a nose prosthetic to make him look like Freddie Mercury. Sounded like him, walked like him. It was amazing. Amazing experience. I really highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. So what's next for the channel? Well, we have a lot... I've been slacking on everything, obviously, so anyone who's involved in DefTalk, I haven't forgot about you guys. We'll be getting some more DefTalks out. Anybody who's in the podcast, who's a fan of our podcast, if you listen to us only on podcast, I really, really apologize. We haven't put out a podcast in over 2 weeks. We'll be doing that as well. We will also be doing more streaming. Defcamp is really enjoying the streaming, so keep an eye out for that. When the demo's over, he's not sure what he's going to stream, but it will be a Blizzard title, most likely Warcraft 3 or Diablo 2. So keep an eye out for that. What else is next? So will there be more guides coming out? Taladrill and I are working on a guide, and I also have a couple more collaborative efforts that I'm working on as well with Classic WoW.live people. So that's going to be really awesome. But the next video will mostly be a guide for me. Keep an eye out for that. But in the meantime, guys, thank you again for being an amazing community. Thank you again for sticking with us in this time of need, or not need, but stress. Very stressful time. I want to thank my patrons. You guys are amazing. You guys keep me going. Though I will be making some purchases soon, thanks to your patronage. They probably will not be bought until after I move to Germany because I have to lug all that stuff overseas and that costs a lot of money. So I will be making some purchases, new audio equipment, maybe a new background so you don't have to see beds anymore or stuff like that. I'm looking to get not a green screen. I think green screens are cool, but I think I want to do more of a decorative background, something that's easy on the eyes, something that matches more of my aesthetics. So there will be something like that. So yeah, that's it. Hang out with us on Discord, follow us on Twitter, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Hit the bell so you can actually hear what we're doing, and all the other stuff that YouTube makes you do nowadays. Blood type, maiden name, all those things. Anyway, guys, it's been a great ride, and looking forward to keep making more videos and keeping with you, and keeping the hype up for the next 6 months while we're waiting for Classic WoW. Have a good one. Take it easy. Keep on keybining and grinding. See ya.